What's happening, guys? I'm out here chilling on my new pad because this is now my new favorite spot on the planet. And I wanted to really thank all of y'all that took the time on the last raw runs video to actually give me feedback. And overall, I would say the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. You guys really thought that narrating these raw runs was a good idea, and so I intend to keep doing that because honestly it's fun. I review them all anyway and watch them to learn from my mistakes, so I might as well throw on a mic and just share my thoughts with you guys, and maybe it helps some of you all in your driver's development as well. This video, very much like the last one, this time around, again, OSW, but there is a key variable that was different this weekend. This weekend we had horrendous downpours. Like, it was just raining the whole time we were there. As you will see, I have in-car footage and drone footage, and the whole skid pad was practically a lake. Like, especially from the drone footage where you can see it without all the water getting splashed on the cameras and on the glass of the cars. It literally looks like we're running jet boats out there. It's ridiculous. That said though, the driving was actually really good. It was a lot of fun. Uh, Good learning experience for everybody involved. And the three of us that drove together, just like in the last video, was, Fara, Josh, and myself. And I'm just going to walk you through what happened. This time around though, I'm not gonna bother to show you all the clips because frankly, especially on my lead runs, with the camera being mounted inside the car and the water being the way it was, and me having carbon fiber rear side glass deletes, on my lead runs, you can't see anything. So I'm not going to bother you with that. I'm just going to put a couple of my chase runs in there and just show you what it was like to play in the wet. Almost forgot one thing. I need to give Fara credit for the layout because yeah, the layout that we originally had planned to run, which happens to be my favorite in the dry, was practically undrivable in the rain. It just wasn't any fun. And on the fly, we said, you know what, whoever leads just throws down a lead run they think works, everybody else chases it, and then we decide on a layout. So he came up with this gem, or wherever I put it on the screen, Fara's Moist Donut of Death. And this is something that took advantage of the conditions, because in the dry we could never do this because after 2 runs the left rear tire would be shot. And so in the rain we actually got to play on that, and it ended up being really fun. That last drift, that big donut that you do a lap and a half around, I think that had like a solid run time of like 30 seconds in drift, all the way around. So that's something you don't normally get to do. So we made the best of a bad situation and just rolled with it. Here we go. Khalid in the passenger seat, Fara in front of me. We're initiating into the abyss. Not too shabby. That's less than half a car. Slight touch there on transition. And we get into the infield, if you will. Now you go blind here for a sec because, yep, Fara loads us up with water. There's even some coming in the trans tunnel because I keep forgetting to put my shifter boot back. And now we're in this endless right-hand turn, and I'm just trying to work my way closer to Fara. And as you can see here, like, line-wise, this was pretty decent until I decided to do an e-brake drag. Shouldn't have done that. And you could see how Fara was just glued to Josh the whole time. Turn the AC off. Need the extra 15 horse. Initiate. And we're diving. And we're at the door. Very nice. Let's see if I manage to get the transition. Pretty smooth. Can't see Fara. Luckily his car is highlighter yellow, otherwise you would see him. And then this transition into the big donut, with all that water getting splashed in your face, I really had a hard time getting that as nice and tight as I wanted. But you can see here how I'm trying to just massage the car to find every little bit of grip that's out there to get closer to Fara, and I managed to to some degree. Obviously not as nice as I wanted it here. I completely slipped through the launch, but there we go. Now we're in the game. Let's see if we can transition. Yep, we do. Fara stays to the right of us there, so not a big gap. And now it's time to see if we can reel him in. There is no left foot braking, no e-brake. Basically, if you want to keep proximity in this, there's so little grip with all that standing water that if you were to touch the foot brake, pretty much just wash out. And I'm really trying to stay off the e-brake. I'm fighting my urge to yoink it because as soon as you pull the e-brake, you kill so much inertia that it's so hard to get back when there is no grip. So now Josh is in the middle and we're right on that like PB&J. You can see how his transition is a lot slower rotation and then he parks it and thankfully I park it too. That got real hairy. But like I said, this is raw runs. This is the good, the bad, the ugly. This isn't to flex on people. This is to show you what it's like, you know? Bomb. Look at all that water. Pretty good visual of why I don't wash my cars in Florida. Trailering them through the rain and driving them in the rain is sufficient. The line ends up being pretty decent towards the end, though. That wasn't that bad considering how close we got to wrecking each other. Okay, Fara with a saucy initiation. Trying to get in on his door, and we get there. This is less than half a car. This is actually really nice. There was a touch of contact, not much. And then I'm struggling to find grip. Maybe you could tell how much the car over-angled in that transition. And with as little grip as there is here, going through these lakes, I can't even work my way onto a tighter line. I pretty much just have to stay on the line that I'm on, which is pretty decent. And now here, I think I throw it all away. No, this looks pretty good. Is that not that run? No? No, that was okay. This from the inside, it's hard to judge, right? But that was pretty much through the whole donut within a car, half car. Here we have Josh. Then we get real up close and personal there for a little bit. Transition on his bumper. I managed to not over-rotate the car in the transition, so we can kind of stay with him. He rotates a lot slower, as you can tell, right? And so now I'm trying to work my way to the door. There's the water puddle. Up there's a car. Once the water clears, you see there's a car there. And we're just staying on the same line as him. So this is where I'm roughly front wheel to rear wheel. And between the cars, this is like less than half a car. This is actually pretty spicy. Considering the conditions anyway, I was extremely happy with our driving. Here we have Fara in the lead. And real close again on turn 1. I really boofed the transition here, I think. Yep, had to make an e-brake correction at that point. Momentum's lost, but he runs it. Basically, I'm running Fara's line, but he cut it there a little. So now we end up in sync again right here. But I'm back, you know, like I'm close, like left to right, but front to back, I'm behind. So this is like my wheel where his rear bumper is, but really close to his bumper, you know, all the way around. And as you can see, there isn't anything to do other than modulate your clutch and steer as little as possible, basically, to not upset the car. And we dive, and we almost get, yeah, we get there. Good. That was real close. And Fara over angles, and then I just err on the side of caution. And this gap, we'll see if I can make that up. I don't think I can. He's cutting because he knows he's behind from that transition too. But it ends up working out okay. This is a car and a half gap. This is not tight. You can see both wheels of the lead car there. But Fara manages to reel Josh in pretty well. That looks good. So, run's basically over. Now we come to a run that I marked in the video, but I don't remember why. Let's find out. It's purple in the time stream. Oh, that was the one where he ran a real tight line. Yep. I think that may have been the other one with the bumper boop. Right there, before initiation. He booped me a couple times too, but it's hard to make out, you know. With no grip, the impact speed is so minimal. Like, we didn't even leave marks on the cars. Like, when we touched the wet tires on the wet paint, you literally just smeared the dirt off. Yeah, I know why I marked it now. I'm giving the thumbs down to my passenger because I was so mad at myself that I threw that runaway with an e-brake drag. That's what that was all about. You can see how quickly the e-brake kills your inertia. And in the dry, it's not as obvious because there is grip and you can make it back up. But in the wet, once you kill that wheel speed, by the time you get them back up and going, you're getting dusted. Yep. Block of cheese. Very nice. Pretty good transition as a group, but I'm not close anymore. Let's see if I can get him back in. Nah, no. That is not gonna be anything exciting. Yep. And we're getting back to door-to-door distance, half a car, but as you can see, I'm like front to back behind. So like this is behind his bumper with my wheel. And now I'm trying to work my way towards the door, but I just can't get there. Meanwhile, water is splashing in everywhere. Alright, best for last if you want to call it that. This was my favorite chase on Fara. Yeah, just watch and see what you think. For one, I don't have a passenger, so you can actually see a little bit. And for two, look at how nice we transition together. Like right now, whoop, he rotates, I rotate. He doesn't lose me through the lake. I stay right there with him. That's half a car. And then here there is like a car and a half, but I'm able to get right back in the game here. And from the wall on out, he hit one of those really deep wet spots, so I had to actually check up. But you can see here that that is pretty much glued to his rear wheel. That was so much fun. My favorite of the incar. Which leads us to Flyday, whatever. Flyday Drone's footage, and he, with these conditions, only managed to get like 3 of our runs on this layout. And yeah, well, you'll see. It's pretty sad, but look at all that water. We're straight up motorboating through the middle here. I think it looks more extreme as far as how much water there is when you see it in the drone footage than when you see it in the in-car. So yeah, here, this is really not one of the best runs, but it's within that 1 to half car, but on the bumper, not on the door. But yeah, given the conditions, I was not mad at our driving. And this next run, Fara, he caught a good one for Fara. Like, look at that. That crazy guy is just in the zone. His car actually doesn't struggle with that transition so much. And then look at that, going through like, I don't even know, that must have been 4 inches of standing water. And then it was like the opposite. His chase started out extremely strong, and look at my wall ride. Oh, that's nice. So he was really on my door, and then through the second lap around the donut, he can't get closer than like a car, which is still good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as strong as it started. And then here, this is the last of it. After this, we're done, I promise. It starts out promising, but then I get on that one patch where if I have too much wheel speed, I just cannot save it, which is right now. And now my car just starts crab walking off track, and we're done. At least I didn't spin.